For this example, let's consider this Likert type scale item here. The item stem is I'd like to go to parties, and you can see the rating scale here ranging from -2 to +2, strongly disagree up to strongly agree. It's arbitrary how you number these types of scales. We could number this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 0 to 4. It really is arbitrary. Here I've just used whole numbers ranging from -2 to +2. So let's suppose we have 18 individuals whose responses we see here. So our sample size n is equal to 18. And we'll start by setting up the columns for our frequency table here. So here is the variable party, the party rating, and the values are range from 2 to 1 to 0, -1, -2. So these are the possible values that we can observe. And again, I always set these up going from high to low. SPSS might reverse that, but again, that's arbitrary. Next, we'll fill in the frequency, so we count how many 2's there are. So we go over and count the positive 2's, and there are 8 of those, so that's our frequency there. Then we count the number of 1's. Turns out there are 3 of those, and then there are 2 zeros, 2 -1's, and 3 -2's. So those are our frequencies. Now if we add these up, remember the sigma here, capital sigma, equals 18, so we sum these up to 18, and that of course is our sample size. So we have all 18 individuals accounted for here. Next we go to the percent relative frequencies, and to get the first value we take 8 divided by 18 and multiply it by 100, and that gives us 44.44. So let's do that on the calculator real quick. So 8 divided by 18, and that's 0.44. Of course, we multiply that by 100, just move the decimal over 2 places, 44.44. So that is the percent relative frequency. To obtain the 3, we do the same thing. So 3 divided by 18, and multiply that by 100, and that should be 16.67. So sure enough, that's what we get. And then 2 divided by 18 multiplied by 100 is 11.11. And there are the other two values. So there are percent relative frequencies. Now if we add these up, we should get 100 within rounding, and here we get it exactly 100. Next we'll work on the percent cumulative, or the cumulative percent relative frequency, and what we're going to do is add these up. So we're going to add 16 to 11 to 11 to 16 to 44. So we are going to add these up to 100, starting from the lowest value up to the highest value here. So we start by just taking the first value, the first percent, and copying that over there, and then we're going to add 16.67 to 11.11. So again, with the calculator, 16.67 plus 11.11, oops, I messed that up, didn't I? Let's clear that out. So 16.67 plus 11.11, and that gives us 27.78. So there is that value. Now we take the 27.78 and we're going to add 11.11 to that again. So 27.78 plus 11.11, that gives us 38.89. So we see the value there, and now we add that to 16.67 and then 55.56 to 44.44, and there is our 100%. So as I mentioned in class, these cumulative percent relative frequencies are used to develop percentile ranks. So if you scored a 1 in this particular sample, you scored as high or higher than 55.56% of the individuals in this sample. If you scored a -1, then you're in about the 28th percentile. So you see these percentiles used quite a bit in the testing industry, the GREs, ACT, for example. So these are very popular. It's a very popular statistic here. All right, once we have the table completed, then we can go on and create the frequency histogram. So we can see here I've done that in Excel and just copied it over. You have the frequency rather as the y-axis, and here I scaled it up to 9 because 8 was the largest frequency. Start out at 0. Here is the variable, so we label that party rating, and then we have the low all the way up to the high value of 2 there, and there are the 8 2's and the 3 1's, 2 values for each of those, and then 3 values that were -2. So make sure your histogram looks like this when you write it in your notes. So that's a quick review then of how to create the frequency table and the frequency histogram.